Hey everybody, it's I Want2Be-Retro. Today we're going to take a look at running OpenFire, an XMPP chat server in Docker. To get started, log into the device that we're going to install Docker on. First, we'll use apt-install to install a few prerequisite packages required to install Docker. Then we'll add the docker-gnupg key in apt repository, followed by another apt-install to install Docker, Docker Compose, and Containerd. With the Docker packages installed, we'll make sure the Docker service is started and enabled, add the current user to the Docker group, then re-authenticate the current user for the group change to take effect. We're now ready to start creating our containers. We'll start by creating working directories for our containers to store persistent data in. Then using the docker run command, we'll create our OpenFire container. Once the container is running, open a web browser and navigate to the DNS or IP address of the Docker host, :9090. Select the language, then click Continue. Enter an XMPP domain name and server host name, then click Continue. Select Embedded Database, then click Continue. Leave Default selected, then click Continue. Enter an admin email address and password, then click Continue. Click the Log to the Admin Console button, then log in with the username admin and the password you just set. Select the Users Groups tab, then click Create New User in the left navigation. Enter a username and password for a test user, then click the Create and Create Another button. Create a second test username and password, then click the Create User button. Now we can select User Summary from the left navigation and see a listing of the users we've created. Now that we have our OpenFire server configured, we'll go back to the console and copy the configuration file to a persistent storage. We'll start by creating a folder to store the configuration in. Then we'll copy the OpenFire configuration from the running Docker container to our folder. We'll set ownership of the directory, stop the running OpenFire container, then recreate the OpenFire container with a new parameter pointed at our configuration file. Now that our server configuration is persistent, we can test it out using the Pigeon instant messaging client. I'll download a portable version of Pigeon on the local Windows machine. Then extract the downloaded exe using 7-zip. With the files extracted, I can launch Pigeon Portable. Click Add on the Accounts page. Then from the Protocol dropdown, select XMPP. Enter one of the test user accounts. Fill in the XMPP domain and enter the user's password. Optionally, give the user a local alias. Then click the Advanced tab. Set the connection security dropdown to use encryption if available, then set the connect server to the DNS or IP address of the Docker host. Once completed, click the Add button. Now I'll connect to a separate host and configure Pigeon Portable as the other test user, so I can verify the two accounts can communicate. We'll follow the same steps to download Pigeon and configure the XMPP server, but this time we'll connect as the other test user we created in OpenFire. Again, set the protocol to XMPP, then enter the username and password as well as the XMPP domain. On the Advanced tab, set the security to use encryption when available, then set the connect server to the DNS or IP address of the Docker host. Now that we have both of our clients configured and connected, we can send a test instant message from one to the other. If everything's working properly, the instant message should be received by the other user. We now have an OpenFire XMPP server running containerized in Docker.